Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another really cool arcade game repair video for you. We're going to show you something today involving Williams System 11 games. Particularly this Pinball that we're working on, but it's true of all the early Williams System 11 games. They had a flaw in the wiring that ended up being an issue on this particular cabinet when we were repairing it. And we filmed how we fixed it, so we thought that we would put this in a separate video just in case anybody runs into this problem in your own machine, because it's potentially kind of catastrophic. You can actually burn up a large portion of the wiring in the game. So we'll show you what we ran into and show you how you can fix it on your machine. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Over here in the back box there are two bridge rectifiers. One I think is for the solenoid voltage and one is for the lamp voltage. Okay, so they put these two in, but they made the mistake of not putting a fuse on the lines running to these bridge rectifiers. So the reason that's a problem is because the lines run from the transformer at the bottom to these bridge rectifiers and then up to the board. Well, if the bridge shorts, the bridge rectifier turns AC voltage into DC voltage. If the bridge shorts, there's no fuse for it to blow. So the purpose of a fuse is to make a weak link in a line. Well, since it's between, you know, the plug comes in and the power goes to the transformer. I'm pointing at the bottom because it's under the playfield. The power goes to the transformer, and then other voltages come out of the other side of the transformer. Well, each one of those voltages goes up here to somewhere with a fuse on it, except for these. So if that shorts, there's no fuse to blow, and it's not strong enough to blow the fuse on the other side of the transformer. I don't know if that's even electrically possible, but so what does it do? Well, if the AC lines are tied together because of the short inside the transformer, it just starts melting the wires. So while I was standing here looking at the display, apparently it did that. Just coincidentally, it had nothing to do with the display. I started smelling smoke, so I unplugged it and I could see a little bit of smoke coming from over here. So I go look, and look at these two wires here. See how they've melted? It just did that. It wasn't like that before. And then it plugs into this harness, and here's the two wires that it becomes. And so when it first did it, those were really hot, obviously, and it was starting to melt the insulation off of them. Crazy. So what you need to do to fix this, if you have a System 11, and it's mandatory, you've got to do it, because if this thing, we had a System 11 Williams Millionaire pinball machine one time, and it just kept going. Man, it burnt up all of the wiring down to the transformer. I mean, we had to rewire that whole part. And that might, you know, it might catch something on fire, literally. Now, once the wire burnt through, it would end the electrical connection where it wouldn't keep doing it. But if you've got a machine around that's unattended and it doesn't have a System 11, it doesn't have this fuse mod on it, kind of playing with fire, literally. So what are we going to do? We're going to, what you need to do on your machine is find the two blue wires, which are the AC wires going to this one bridge rectifier, and take one of the blue wires, run it over here to the wall, run it through a fuse, and then run it to where it goes on the bridge rectifier. And so that way you've fused one of the AC wires. And then you need to do the same thing on the top. The two wires on the top are red. So on a bridge rectifier, you've got an AC wire and another AC wire. It doesn't matter what order it goes in, and it doesn't matter which one you fuse, but that's the input to it. And then the bridge rectifier makes DC voltage that comes out of the orange wire and the, in this case, green wire. So the orange wire is positive, green wire is the negative. So I'll get the multimeter and see if I can check this where you can see it. This bridge must have shorted. So I pulled everything out of it and cut these off, soldered new ones on, put it all back. But I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. You can see it a little better outside of the machine. So there are two pins that say AC, and then there's one that says plus and one that says negative. So the way you test them is you take your meter, put it on diode check, and then you go to the positive connection and put your black lead, put the wrong lead on it. So you put the black lead on it, and then you connect your red lead to the AC on one side and then to the AC on another side, and see if you have any shorts. So that's still kind of hard to do holding the. And then you do it on the other one. You do the, you put the, where the negative is, you put the red lead on it, and then you put the black lead on the AC. Alright, let's try it the other way. Okay, and as you can hear, we've got a short on this bridge rectifier, so just like we were talking about. So I'll show you what we did in the machine. So we've had the game up for quite a while now because we're watching it to make sure nothing burns up. So what we did on the wiring, we got lucky, and the actual wiring itself was fine. It had just started to melt the insulation around it, so we were able to wrap tape around the wire, each separate wire, so that it had nice insulation that separated. Again, the actual wire inside was still intact and wasn't burnt up or anything. So just like we talked about, and we did it for both of our new bridge rectifiers. On one of the AC lines on each one, and the game is on, by the way, on one of the AC lines on each one, we ran it through a fuse first. So the fuse needs to be an 8 amp slow blow fuse. So you want to wire an 8 amp fuse in line. If your original bridge rectifiers are still fine and you don't need to update them or anything, all you really need to do is remove this blue AC wire from one of the 2 AC pins and just run it through a fuse, and then run a wire from the other side back to where the blue wire was. And then the same thing on one of the red wires still at the top. Don't trust my colors though. Make sure you're doing the ones that are marked AC. So the red wire ran in, we took it loose, ran it through a fuse first, took the new wire and ran it over to the where the wire was before. That way, if it starts doing what it was doing a minute ago, it'll instead of burning up the wires, it'll just blow the fuse. He wanted to let you know that he was working good. So there you are. So hopefully that'll keep you from having troubles with your Williams System 11. If you run into that issue, hopefully you won't. Hopefully you'll fix it before you run into that issue. But if you run into a game that has problems on those wires, Pinball rules. If you run into a game that has problems on those wires, you'll know what caused that issue. So check those bridge rectifiers and put a fuse in it. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you think about it. And if we missed something, if there's an easier way to do that, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you, and we'll see you on the next video.